According to the International Labor Organization, the informal economy comprises half to three-quarters of all non-agricultural employment in developing countries. Informal work can be broadly defined as work that is without legal and social protection. In the developing countries, social protection schemes are poorly developed, inadequately funded, and serve only a small part of the population. The Research Network Support Facility is a European Union-funded project to improve knowledge on ways to enhance the livelihoods of people in the informal economy and to increase the social inclusion of vulnerable groups.
The whole idea of the workshop was to get together people interested in this topic, to share ideas, experiences, and to write a book in order to advise decision makers and practitioners.
We're taking the experiences of about 30 people from around the world who've been working in social protection. We divide them into groups. We ask each of those groups to write a chapter in the book.
We had people who really are field people who work every day in the communities, and then we had civil servants from different governments, and we also had academic experts, as well as people from Europe, India, and in different countries in Africa.
I work for the Ministry of East Africa Community, Labour and Social Protection, specifically the State Department of Social Protection in Kenya.
We work pan-India, we work across the country. I particularly look after the work on the labor rights.
I'm a professor of economics at Mzumba University in Tanzania. My main interest is within the informal sector.
Most countries have more or less elaborate systems and schemes of social protection, such as unemployment benefits, occupational injury and illness benefits, health insurance, pensions. But such systems are usually open only to workers in the formal sector. People depending on the informal economy are generally excluded. Why should we extend social protection to informal workers?
For this, we have to go back to the 1948 UN Declaration on Human Rights, because there already, Articles 22 to Article 25, it is made clear that social security is a human right.
Another good reason to extend social protection to informal workers is related to their contribution to the national economy.
In India, the informal economy contribution, the workers in the informal economy contribute over 55% in the country's GDP. But when these workers ask about their share, that what exactly they're getting in return, there's nothing. So can you see the huge inequality? These populations are contributing immensely to the economy, but how this economy, how the state are sort of replying them back, what they're really returning them back, so that's a big question. I'm raising it up.
Governments are now coming to see the potentials of the informal economy as a major source of employment and contributor to the economy.
Whereas in the past, in the developing world, governments would often say that, for those who work in the informal economy, it's too difficult for them, for governments at least, to organize social protection for them, or social security rather. That has changed. We see all over Africa and in Asia and also in Latin America that governments have actually realized that it is their responsibility to provide at least a framework for covering those who are in the informal economy through social protection measures.
During the workshop, participants tackled the issue of social protection from the perspective of informal economy, taking into consideration three key dimensions: the existing legal and institutional frameworks for social protection, analyzing to what extent they include informal workers, and how they can be improved to better serve people depending on the informal economy.
The designs of the social security schemes should really be made in such a way that they are different from the formal social security institutions. They should address the needs, they should take into account the peculiarities of informal economy workers, they should take into account the different categories of workers.
How do we make sure that the institutions that we are creating make the people feel they're part of it. Because if the beneficiaries don't feel they're part of the whole organization, then they are not part of the decision making. And that is why they say that they want their present needs addressed. They feel their needs are not being addressed because they are not given a forum to be able to bring out these issues.
The key issue will be really not to force those in the formal sector to come to the formal sector. We cannot force them to graduate, as I put it. But then let us design our systems, our procedures, our policies to suit them where they are.
A second aspect taken into consideration is related to the barriers faced by informal workers to access social protection schemes.
In many countries, social protection is recognized as a right to citizens, yet citizens still do not access it.
I think the debate on fiscal space for social protection is really important on how we finance social protection. It's quite a political issue as well because it's about tax justice. It's about getting the owners of capital to contribute to the protection of people who they may only be linked to in very indirect chains.
I think the agency of people, mobilization of people, be they elderly or women living in different vulnerable situations, can help governments to make better policies.
Participants also worked on the analysis of mutual support systems and nets at a community level.
Based systems are systems that people have been using for hundreds of years of mutual support, and other ones are aspects such as savings groups and community groups that provide each other mutual support in times of need. So we really looked more at things that happen at the community level.
The philosophy of our chapter is about strengthening community-based systems, including also systems for vulnerable people, vulnerable groups, and also people in fragile communities or states.
The regional workshop in Kenya put together academics, field people, regional experts, public officers in an effort to analyze the complexity of extending social protection to informal workers. Our project aims at the creation of a community of practices where people coming from different backgrounds can share experiences, identify critical issues, and advise decision makers and practitioners working in the field of the informal economy.